From the cloud. All right, we are rolling. So happy Friday, everyone. It's Finish Strong Friday, hashtag FSF. This is our Friday success call, all about the mindset. And I'm usually here with my business partner, Eric Jacobson. But as I mentioned earlier, for those of you who might have missed it, Eric's getting on a plane to San Diego right now. So I'm going to be flying solo. I think I can handle it by myself.
You're very good by yourself.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, I love doing these calls. I could probably just come on here and wing it and be fine for an hour. I enjoy this so much. The reason we focus on the mindset component on Fridays is, and from our perspective, mindset is 80-90% of success and failure in anything, whether it be your personal life or your business or your spiritual connection, whatever it is. It's all it's all happening in your head, everything between your ears. Excuse me. So yeah, we focus on that because it is the most important place to start. It's the thing that will save you on the bad days, on the down days. And believe me, we all have them. I've been around 8-figure dream lifestyle now for about 15, 16 months. I've done very, very well. I've actually kind of gotten in a little bit of momentum going here again recently, just about to hit $300,000 in the business in that period of time. And I'd thank you. Happy dance for me too. I'm not saying that to impress you, but really to impress.
In 15 months, you've made 300,000?
15 months, yeah. Well, the 1st of December. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I guess it'll be 16 months now. We're at the end of March, so 16 months.
How much time do you do this? I'm kind of brand new. So how long do you do that? How many hours a day are you doing this?
So I probably spend 15, 20 hours a week, maybe 30 hours a week total with all of my businesses. So I'm all about automation. So
what do you mean all your businesses? You've got another business?
Multiple streams of income. But Pat, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about this later. Let me stay in the flow here. We can talk about questions and interact a little bit later. Happy to, to talk about all of that. So in fact, we got kind of noise on a bunch of lines here. So I'm just going to mute everybody for a little while and then we'll come back here.
Oh, so I can't talk to you.
You can. You'll be able to unmute and you can also chat and I'll talk about all that. Just one second. Let me get in here. Yeah. I just want to keep the noise down to a minimum here. Mute all. Okay. All right. You'll still be able to unmute yourself. There's a microphone in the lower left-hand corner. It's got a little red slash through it. You can unmute yourself when it's appropriate. So yeah, let me give you a little bit of the backstory since you're asking me about it. So I've been involved with this industry for actually May 15th coming up here will be 22 years since the last time I fired my boss. I used to work for attorneys off and on when I was working on being a rock star back in LA, back in the big hair 80s. Can you imagine? Big old rock and roll hair. I know you can't believe it, but I have proof. So in fact, I think somebody was, who was it? Oh, Cowboy Steve shared an old picture of him when he had a full head of hair with a horse and somebody else chimed in about their head of hair. And I had to show the picture of my album cover back in 1990. So anyway, so yeah, it's been almost 22 years and I've not had to work for another person since then. We had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of, successes and failures, although I don't really believe in failure, generally speaking. Failure is really, again, it's a mindset. You can look at failure as a fail or you can look at failure as a lesson. And the lesson that you should learn in every failure is what did you do wrong and what could you do differently the next time? Even Edison, spoke of failure, and I don't have to paraphrase it, but why did you keep on trying 10,000 times before you got the light bulb? Why didn't you quit? Why wasn't it a failure? He said, I never failed once. I just found 9,999 ways that it didn't work. And that's a huge success. As far as business success, I've been involved with home-based business, direct sales, network marketing, had my own coaching business, as I mentioned, for about the last 17, 18 years. And I've had some great successes, what I would consider successes just by financial standards. I've probably been involved with 30 or 30 plus different companies, but I've been successful in 9. And successful to me, just again, there's a lot of definitions of success. Right now, time freedom is the most important one to me. And Pat, you were just asking about that. How much time do I spend? Well, the nice thing about our business and the type of businesses that I've been involved with is that we've learned to do automation and outsourcing that gives us the time leverage. So when I'm up hiking, which is something that I really enjoy doing, my business is still running. Either an appointment setter is making phone calls, systems running leads, automation is happening with email, automation is happening with text. All those things are happening. I have to interact with the business, of course, but that's what gives you the freedom. That's what I gauge as success now, is financial and time freedom together. But by financial terms, my definition is 6 figures or better. And so again, looking at successes and failures, you could say that out of 30 plus businesses, with only 9 of them being quote unquote successful, that I have a better track record for failure than I do for success. But I will tell you this, that the last 5 in a row have been 6 figures or multiple 6 figures. And I think I'm on my way to 7. And I consider that to be a major success. And it also makes me feel like I'm starting to get it right. If you could take the concept, which is, again, it's all about mindset. And that's really the topic that I'm going to dwell on, focus on, and really laser in on today. It's all about mindset. If you take your mindset moving forward, where it may have looked like a failure, maybe financially, but maybe there was something else that you could learn, or maybe that wasn't the right business for you, and you learned what was the right business for you, and you found the right business model. Like, for example, you're here now. Honestly, with everything that we have put together with this system and this program, the only way you can really fail is to quit. That's the bottom line. Sooner or later, it's only just going to take some time, some consistent behavior over time, which we talk about this on these calls over and over and over. Putting in consistent effort over time is going to get you the result. If you put in mediocre effort, you're going to get a mediocre result. If you put in sketchy, on again, off again effort, you may not get any kind of result that you're looking for, because it takes a consistent effort, at least initially. You got to fill the funnel. You've got to get people into your system. You've got to start to build those relationships. And again, mindset is the difference between success and failure in that environment. It's always going to be mindset, because there are always going to be days when you wake up and you say, I just don't feel like it. It could be that something happened in your life, or it could be that you just don't feel like it. Or it could be that you've gone for how many days straight, and let's say you 3 or 4 days in a row, and you didn't even manage to reach anybody on your, when you're picking up the phone to make your calls. That can happen. And it's not necessarily anything you're doing wrong, but if you consistently continue with that behavior, you will consistently get better and better results. I will share with you, just again, to be totally transparent. I went through a streak over the last few months where I had some big challenges in my personal life. It was really hard to manage my business and my personal life at the same time. Some really big issues that I, hope none of you would ever have to deal with. And every day, as I look on my vision board, which is what has pictures of places I want to go and things I want to own, and just expressions that I have that keep me motivated. One of them is, no matter how you feel, get up, show up, dress up, and never give up. That's the first thing I read to myself off the vision board every single morning. And there were mornings, you guys, when I read that and I was just like, I almost wanted to just break down in tears, because things were so bad. It's like, I don't feel like it today. I don't want to show up today. Wah! All right. But I did it anyway. And today I got up and I read that, and I was like, you know what? Every day I've done that. I've gotten stronger. I've built more. I've built more. I've built more. Last Friday, I got a $6,000 wire transfer. I started my day with a brand new $6,000 wire transfer this morning. And when I read that today, it was like, yeah, I feel good today. And it was all because of consistent effort over time. So I just want to share again with you, mindset is the key here. Mindset is the way you will keep yourself going when things are not going well, or when you perceive that things are not going well. Because again, whether they're good or bad is all in your head too. What you're doing with this is you're gaining experience every step of the way. So, all right, I'm off on a roll here, but I do want to focus a little bit more on mindset and vision today. Let me just look at the notes real quick. Oh, and before I go on, I did want to share with the people who are new, you can see that there's a little orange balloon that's lighting up at the bottom of your screen because people are typing into the chat. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is the chat. Type your questions and comments here. Boom, whoops, a little extra character in there, but okay. So let me just read these real quick and see if there's anything I need to respond to. That's where books come in handy. As many of them have so many examples of the struggles that everyone goes through no matter what they're doing. 100% right, Tim. Tim, excuse me. I gotta get some water. A little scratchy today. Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about books a lot here. on Fridays. I'm not going to specifically talk about a book today, although we already did touch on the science of getting rich. Well, I'll come back to that again one of these Fridays as soon as I have this all ready to gift you guys with the audio program and the rewrite of that book that I did way back in the day. Very first product that I did back in the day. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and launch right in. So I want to talk about mindset from a little bit different perspective. You heard me talking about a vision board, and today I want to talk about what is your vision. So, first I also want to welcome the guests here. I don't know who all is guests. I know for sure that Sam is a guest. So welcome, Sam. I know that you've been in conversations with Orlando. I think that's funny. Sam Orlando is talking to Orlando. But he mentioned that you had also talked to my business partner, Eric, and he had given you my number. So you're welcome to shout out to me if you want to chat a little bit more. But I know you're evaluating the business right now. And Ralph, I see that I don't recognize your name, but I don't know if you're new or if you are a guest. So welcome to you too. And anybody else that I don't know, Rick, Don, I think I've seen you before, and everybody else I know. So, yeah, it looked like you were, Ralph, I'll go ahead and unmute you. I saw your hand moving and your mouth moving, but I couldn't hear you because I had you muted.
No, I've been around for about a year. I need to get going.
Oh, cool. You're in the right place.
I'm reflecting on what you're saying about mindset, and I got a mindset sickness that I need to get over.
All right. Well, we got the cure right here.
Is that what you're drinking?
Beer. This is tea. It's a little. I'm in California. Even on a holiday weekend, it's still a little early to have anything stronger than tea.
Hey, I'm in the Marina Del Rey, so you can't lie to me.
Oh, are you? Nice. I used to live in Redondo Beach for a lot of years, so I know the area very well. Beautiful down there.
Yeah.
Beautiful up here. I'm in Northern California now, up in the wine country in Sonoma County.
Love it.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you back on mute, and thanks for your input. So, again, going back to the concept of vision here, you heard me talk about a vision board. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit more about that. But you've taken the most important action that you can take already, and that's just the commitment to being here. And, Ralph is a great example of that just now, saying he's been involved with the business for a year, had a mindset disease, I think is the word that you used. I'm going to have to remember that one, actually, mindset disease. So being here on Fridays is a great cure for that. And we do this every Friday. In fact, there are 5 other success calls during the week. There are the morning calls, that one of them that Sheila does, I think they're called the morning huddle now. And there's no reason not to be in the right mindset working forward in this. And look, we have a lot of people that have been involved with the business for a while and that are now sort of refiring things. So maybe it's appropriate that it's like Good Friday, Easter weekend, maybe it's a good time to start thinking about, spend a little time this weekend if you've got time, because things are typically slow in business on a holiday weekend. I'm sure some of you will be spending time with your family, but think about going through this process that I'm going to share with you today over the weekend with a mindset that it's about resurrection. The resurrection of your business. You can use that analogy. And I think this is, seemingly pretty appropriate timing for that. So anyway, congratulations on being here, because you did make that commitment and now you're getting started. So, my goal for you is to, be a good coach, be a good mentor. I'm a not so silent partner working with you to help you create a successful business, generate revenue from multiple streams ultimately. And I think a lot of times people don't realize there's actually multiple streams options right within the 8-figure dream lifestyle model itself, and do all this in the way that best leverages your time and your energy. So I'm going to share as much as I can, as quickly as I can with you. We have about an hour total on this call, and then we're going to send you off on an awesome weekend. But you will find out, if you haven't figured it out already, some things pretty quickly about me, and that's, I'm pretty direct. I don't pull a lot of punches. I think it's vital to your success that not only do you know what's ahead of you, but that, everybody be straightforward and honest with you about how this works. I don't want to beat around the bush and say, oh, well, everybody's going to be successful just by being in our business, because that's not true. It's not true of any business. It's not true of any venture. You have to show up. And when I say show up, I mean, you have to execute on the things that are important to moving your business forward, the things that we call IPA, income producing activity, or RGA, revenue generating activity. You'll hear those terms used interchangeably. And it's just like if you had a job, or if you have a job, if you don't show up, you don't get paid. Well, same thing here. Only the difference here is that there's nobody looking over your shoulder telling you when to punch a time clock, when to take your lunch, when to go to the bathroom. Okay, that's up to you. So your discipline's got to come from you, and it all starts with your mindset. So I want to start out just by telling you something. Everybody here, I want to tell you something. All right, I'm just going to say this straight up. You're a fantastic, highly qualified coach and mentor who's capable of earning 6 figures or more in this business. Okay, I want to let that sink in for a second. And then I want to ask you, how did that feel to you when I said that? You're welcome to type in a comment if you really do want to answer. I'm asking rhetorically, but if you want to answer, type in the chat and let me know, how did that feel to you? Did you feel more like dancing around in a happy dance or celebration? Or did you feel a little bit like, wow, I'm not sure I'm really worthy of that? Or maybe I haven't been involved long enough, or I'm not sure I'm ready to own up to that. Okay, so one of those two things or some variation of it happened, most likely when I said that. You might have said, well, I'm too new to be great. But the truth is, you're here. Like I said before, you made the commitment to being here. Getting started is the first step. And by getting started, there's a reason that we call people, Coach Matt or Coach Tim or Coach Bill or Coach Jeffrey or Coach Sheila or Mentor Sheila or whatever. This is what we do. We teach you how to do what it is that we do. So own it now and create a vision around that. Now, I said I've been in the coaching business for a long time, and I've typically worked with other people who were in some component of coaching. So this is really a perfect match to be able to do things like this. And, if you're like most of the people that I've worked with, you probably felt when I made that statement about you, that being a fantastic, highly qualified coach and mentor, that you felt maybe a combination of, exhilaration at the possibilities, maybe mixed with a little bit of fear that you don't really know how to create a successful business yet, or that you haven't created that successful business yet. So don't worry, you can do this. We're going to help you every stage of the way. We have helped you every stage of the way up to now. We will continue to do that. We're going to stand with you so you can step up to your bigger game, whatever that is for you. And I also want to help you today really get clear about what the bigger game is. How do you deliver in the most effective way possible for you? So you may have joined this business for a lot of different reasons. Maybe it was all the cool strategies and the techniques and the tools that we have available, and the things that we teach you, the potential for the multiple streams of income. Maybe you just love the products. Maybe it was for the money initially, but it won't be for the money forever. Once you start making money, you need a bigger vision than that to keep driving you every single day. It's very easy to fall into a state of complacency when you start making some serious money. And, guess how I know that? So there's something else that I need to share with you. It doesn't really matter why you're here. There's one thing here that's, my phone's ringing. That's probably a prospect calling. Hold on, let me just send that to voicemail, guys. Okay, I apologize. It actually is a prospect calling. I meant that to be funny, but it really is. Okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, so again, it doesn't matter why you're here. It's the mindset about creating success is what's going to create your success, as we talked about from the beginning. I mean, that's why I always start with mindset. I'm a firm believer in a process that I call sequencing. And sequencing is really simple. It's doing the right things, but it's also doing them in the right order. And the right sequence for everything in success, in my opinion, is getting your mindset right about where you want to be, well, in your life in general, but specifically around your business. I mean, that needs to happen first. So you may have done this type of an exercise before, or maybe you haven't, but in either case, what we're going to do is get you set on the right path internally before we start teaching you the next levels about strategy, tools, and actions that you need to build your business or build your business bigger. Now, if you're if you're refiring your business or wherever you are in your business, this internal process is vital to building success. And again, it bleeds over into every other aspect of your life. It's personal, it's mental, it's spiritual. It causes your brain to fire in the right direction. There's so many positives about doing things like this. And you need to be headed in the right direction, because if you're in the wrong direction, all the action in the world is only going to take you further in the wrong direction. So in this class, if you will, today, what I want to do is help you get really clear about what you want to be doing with your business. and then how to effectively integrate that with the lifestyle that you choose. Again, Pat asked me earlier, how many hours a week do I put in, to make multiple six figures in this business? And the answer is really simple. It's, I put about 15 to 20 hours a week into my 8-figure dream lifestyle business, and probably only about 30 or so involved with this and every other business that I'm involved with. So I'm a big fan of multiple streams of income. And as long as you can automate that, it doesn't suck away all your time. The people that first sold me the idea of time freedom 22 years ago, when I first got involved with this industry, I found out very quickly that those guys they didn't really have time freedom. They were making tons of money, but they were working 60 hours a week, or they were always on the phone. And that wasn't my idea of time freedom. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like being on the phone. I love to build relationships with people. I have people in my business now who I started talking with, 2 or 3 years ago, even 4 years ago, which was, several businesses ago. So it's not about not wanting to spend time doing some of those things. It's about finding the right amount of time and doing the right things. As I mentioned, sequencing, doing the right things, doing them in the right order. So again, I just want to have you think about this in terms of integrating it with your life, not having it consume you. Take advantage of the automation and use leverage where you can, so that you're building the relationships, you're doing the things you need to do, but you're doing it on your time and on your terms. So what I want to do is walk you through a really simple, powerful, and I think a really fun exercise. I call it creating your ideal scenario. And this exercise is where you get to dream up the perfect business and lifestyle for you. So you get to play around with exactly what you want to create for yourself. And again, I'm giving you this now, and I circle back around to this from time to time. I think this is the second time I've trained on this concept, but I want to give it to you, what I'll say first, because I want this to be a foundation. It's important that you set a really strong intention and a foundation about where you want to be, say, in a year's time, before you start down the path of trying to create that. Because if you don't know where you want to go, it's kind of like having, you can have the best GPS in the world. You got to know where you are, though, and you got to know the address of where you're going before you can get there. So your brain will serve as a great GPS system if you give it the right directions and if you consistently drive the right path. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me just real quick look at the chat here, because I know I can see things popping up. Pat, highly recommend. Oh wait, hold on. Honestly, I'm not sure I feel about that. I tried numerous businesses and failed, and I guess the mindset had a large part of it, or the lack of a good mindset. Maybe I subconsciously feel I don't deserve it. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's really, that's being authentic, and it's being transparent, and that's what we're all about here. And I appreciate that. And then Bill comes back and says, recommend the 8FDL rewireforsuccess.com. This is why we have such a strong community, because people know where the resources are. There's lots of resources. Again, with anything, just like with your business success, your mindset success involves consistent behavior over time. So you can't just listen to Rewire for Success one time and then have an expectation that everything's going to change for you tomorrow. Although I will comment on that specific program. I've been involved with mindset related things for a long time. Like, I don't know, most of you have seen me point up here on my shelf. There it is, right up there. That's Tony Robbins' Personal Power from 1988 on cassette. Okay. And that wasn't even my first run at all this. Somebody gave me Think and Grow Rich when I was a junior in high school, when I was 17 years old. So, we're talking about 40 years ago, guys, so that's how long I've been on that path. And I've been off the path, and I've been on the path, and I've been off the path. And this is how we do it. This is how we roll in our lives. The more consistent you can be, though, the more you're going to get the benefit of whatever it is that you're doing. That Rewire for Success program, because I've been doing this for a long time, because my brand is Mastermind Mentor. I'm all about mindset, how brain function works. I love all that stuff. And I even have my own programs that are sort of along those lines. And so when I first heard about Joseph's stuff, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I probably know all this already, blah, 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 ego, et cetera. I already know all this. You don't already know any of it, any of everything, right? It's like, but I also know like the things this is one of my number one lessons. I've got this written on my whiteboards. 2 things. You teach what you most need to learn. The thing that you resist the most is the thing you should pay the most attention to. And so when I caught myself resisting Joseph's stuff because I thought I already knew stuff like that, I said, well, this just means I have to jump into it. And so I started doing it the way Alex recommended, which was to listen to it in the morning and then just let it loop at night. And that was probably, what was it, about 6 weeks ago? I don't know. Sheila, do you remember? It's about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago when we first released that. And everything started to turn all of a sudden. First of all, I just felt better. I just woke up and I felt better. And I was like, oh, I wonder why I feel so good today. And then I started thinking about it. Oh, well, the only thing I'm doing differently is this one thing. So I don't want to dwell on that because we only have a certain amount of time and I want to get through this exercise. But I would also highly recommend 8 FDL Rewire for Success. Let it loop. If you feel like there's, for you, you said maybe you don't feel like you deserve it. There's actually a program in there, the Fear of Failure. I think it's the week 3 program. It's called Fear of Failure. Go with it. Listen to that. Do it in the morning. You know, what you put in your head while either right before you go to bed or while you're asleep just kind of sinks into your unconscious and starts to reprogram. And it literally, you know, it talks about rewire for success. But if you look at this from a brain physiology perspective, it literally rewires your brain. You create different synaptic pathways to connect the dots to what you're wanting to create versus what you've already created. If you're not where you want to be, then you want to reconnect those pathways. So, I mean, I think it's a really, really strong program. He's got a very interesting and unique voice too. It makes it's like really interesting to listen to. So I would listen to that first thing in the morning and then just loop it at night. All right, let me take a breath. I go quick. All right, I'm going to go get back on the agenda here. Okay, so where was I? We were talking about doing the setting a strong intention about your next year before you start down the path. And then you should also break that down into what we found to be really effective is 90-day cycles or 12-week cycles. Like we talked about the 12-week year last week on our call. So again, first thing you have to do is be really clear and see the possibilities that exist for you. So I don't like to put this in perspective, one of these no limits exercise where you're just kind of fantasizing about what you wish were true. This is really about getting very clear about what you want out of your business and out of your life. And you may notice how I generally put those two pieces together, your business and your life, because in the type of work that we do, you don't really separate the two out very much. If you're really doing your work right, if you're doing it well, if you're really connecting with people and you're building your business around the community that we have here, they become, in a sense, inseparable. They're like interwoven. And that's actually a beautiful thing because your entire life experience also will contribute to the value that you deliver to your new members. You know, we clearly, I mean, just looking around the room today, we can say there's a lot of life experience here. Okay. And that's not just a polite way of saying, you know, we're all getting older. It's just seriously, we have all had our unique experiences that we bring to the game. And those unique experiences you may think don't have value, but there is incredible value in even the quote unquote failures like we talked about before. You know, to be able to share your story with somebody else and how you overcame certain things to get to where you are now. This is all really powerful stuff. All right, I do go off on tangents, so bear with me. So again, what we're going to talk about today really is this exercise called playing around with the idea of creating your ideal scenario. So right now would be a really good time if you're not taking notes already. And if you're driving, by the way, don't take notes, Ralph. I see you're in the car. But you might want to come back to this. I'll post the recording in the Facebook group and on Skype. But, you know, it's always a good idea to constantly be taking notes on any training that you do, any of the trainings anything that you do that involves, you know, training, because there's two things that happen when you take notes. One is obviously you can refer back to the notes of anything that you forgot. You know, you may think you have a great memory, but reality is that when you take notes, you're going to be anchoring things in and be able to go back and reference things that maybe you forgot. And then the second thing is the anchoring aspect, which is what I just mentioned. When you take notes, you're anchoring the concept. You're putting a stake in the ground. You're letting your brain put a little dot to know where to go back to. That's how your brain functions. So take out a journal, grab a pen or pencil. Again, if you're driving, please don't do that. And I'm going to walk you through this exercise. And then I want you to I'm going to walk you through how to do the exercise. I don't want you to do it right now, but I'm going to walk you through the process. And then I want you to actually schedule the time to do this exercise, this creating your ideal scenario exercise completely. So, you know, we're all about getting things done around here. It's so important. Like people talk about how much time they have or they don't have. You'd be amazed at how much time you really have if you start to scrape off all the things that you do to waste time. So I want to suggest to you, when you want to get something done, the best way to get it done is not to write it on a to-do list. It's to schedule it on your calendar. Schedule it on your calendar and make it something that is non-negotiable. Okay, not something you can just bump off if you change your mind. So I want to actually have you schedule the time on your calendar to get this thing done. It's so important to do the actions that are associated with these strategies that I'm going to share with you. And that's where when you take the action, that's where you get that kinesthetic piece of learning. So we all have our different ways of learning. There's auditory, visual, and kinesthetic, but we all learn in all those ways. We're just dominant in one. I happen to be a very strong auditory learner, but I really don't drive it home until I write it down or until I actually functionally do it. Kinesthetic is the process of physically doing something. All right, and you want to finish one section before you go to the next. It's really going to pay off in a huge way for you. And you're going to be amazed at the level of production that you're capable of achieving once you have this in place. So here we go. And again, this is designed to be really fun. So if you feel yourself struggling with it in any way, or you feel any negative or limiting thoughts showing up for you, just get up and move around a little bit when you do the exercise. Take a few deep breaths. Walk away for a few minutes and get yourself back in the right zone. So the first and most important element of this exercise is exactly that. You want to stay in the zone with this. You want to keep it flowing. You don't want to think about it too much, but you definitely want to let your imagination fly. So if you have a process that you like to do that gets you in that state that I call the zone, whether it's a meditation, whether it's jumping on Sheila's, calling them on Wednesday mornings to get yourself fired up, whatever that is, whether you need to listen to some music or, sometimes getting in the zone for me is just, depending on what state I'm in, I'll go pick up an electric guitar, plug it in, turn it up really loud, and just rock out for a while. Just get yourself in the right space. And again, this is designed to be imaginative in nature. And then when you're writing things down around this, use present tense language. This is where I think people go off the rails when it comes to goal setting or visualizing. They talk about, I would like to be, or someday, or, there is no someday, there's only now, right? So keep your language in present tense. So use terms like I am and I have instead of I would be or I'd like to be. Find your current comfort zone of what you believe is possible and push past that. So this is really, really important, you guys. Figure out where your comfort zone is and what you believe is possible now and push yourself past it. Not necessarily into fantasy land, but just as far as it takes to make you stretch a little bit. One great example we talked about recently, I think it was just last week, again, we talked about, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, we talked about 10X, the 10X, I totally forgot the title, but Grant Cardone, 10X, so he's always talking about pushing yourself past what you think are your current limitations. This is what I'm talking about doing. So with your journal ready or your computer ready, if you prefer to do that, and your mind wide open to creativity, then just start imagining your ideal situation for your business and for your lifestyle. Okay. Now, again, I'm giving you the process for the exercise. I'm not expecting necessarily that you do the exercise right now. But I'm giving you the process for what you need to do the exercise. I really want you to schedule this on your calendar and I would leave it open-ended, but give yourself at least an hour to do this so you can really get into it. Now, first thing is, once you're in the right space, imagine yourself a year from now. So, you've successfully, at least on some level, mastered the process of being involved with our business. You've implemented the steps. You've kept yourself in a good zone of productivity. You've been consistent with your actions. You brought in your new team members. You've got your business running like a CEO would run a business. So you've got your outsourcing in place. You've got your automation in place. You're talking to the people you should be talking to and not just spinning your wheels, having as many conversations as possible. So imagine what your life looks like when your business is mechanically operating like that. And start with the moment that you wake up in the morning. So I'm just going to go through a series of questions that you might want to jot down. This is the process. And it's not designed necessarily to be specific, but this is a process that you can use. You can adjust this in whatever way you're comfortable. But I want to give you some ideas on what to start with. So how do you start your day when you wake up in the morning? What does it look like? How do you start your day? Hey, I see mentor Eric just showed up. Must be at the airport. Okay, so what's on your agenda today? And how do you feel about what you're going to be doing with your day? Who are you going to be working with? Are you going to be doing a training today? Are you a mentor now and you're going to be doing a training like this for the team? Are you going to be, taking some time for yourself? How does your day play out? What does it look like? Now, let's just say you're going to be working on your business and you're going to be building a relationship. So describe the new members, the new potential customers or members that you're going to be working with. How does it feel to be working with your ideal members? Who is your ideal member? Take a little time and think about that. Most of you who have been around me at all have heard me say, you can't pay me enough to work with the wrong person. And guess how I know that? So take a little time and imagine who is a perfect community member for 8-Figure Dream Lifestyle for you. Who would you really like to be working with? What qualities do they have? Are they professionals? Are they retired? Motivated? Are they like happy-go-lucky, kind of laughing, have a good time? Or are they like straight up down to business? Different personalities match with different types of personalities. So how does it feel to be working with your ideal clients, and who are they? How much money are you making? And how many hours a week or a month are you working? How much time off are you taking for yourself? And then what are you doing with that time? What are you doing with your non-work time? Are you traveling? Are you relaxing? Are you spending time with friends and family? Are you doing work in the community? Are you giving back to the community here? Or you have a favorite charity that you are working with, or a passion project? What are you doing with that non-work time? How much money is flowing into your business in the form of recurring revenue that just keeps coming in every month? So that can look like, in our business model, that can look like two things. One would be having lots of members. You're a VIP and you have lots of members that are at lower levels, and they're out there working their machine, and those overrides and passive sales are happening to you as a result of that. Can also look like you've become a product of your product. So you've gone into your back office, you've learned about something like maybe an Amazon, or how to build a community with Arthur Tubman's product, how to build a community on Facebook and monetize that, so that you have very little management involved with something that creates a recurring or residual income for you. So how much money of that type is flowing to you? How much do you have in the bank? How much are you reinvesting in your business? Or how much are you reinvesting in other investments that allow your money to continue to grow? How are you living? What are you driving? What other toys do you have that make you really happy? That may not be your thing. To me, there's certain toys I like. I'd love to drive a nice car, but cars are not what I'm about. But get me in a rare guitar shop and I can be dangerous. So what is that to you? And what about your personal life? What's happening there? How much time are you spending with your family? How much time are you spending with your kids or your grandkids or your friends? What are you doing with them? Are you traveling with them? Are you able to, take your parents on a vacation that they've always dreamed of having? And I'm just, again, throwing out ideas here on questions that you can ask yourself so that you can go through this exercise. So as everybody, hopefully you're starting to get the idea here. So, this exercise and these questions are really only designed to get you thinking about this, to be thinking bigger and imagining, what could be your reality. When you follow through with this process, when you complete the programs, when you get yourself into a place where your business is really running on automatic, this could be your reality. So what do you want your reality to be? Again, I want you to let your own imagination just run wild and play with this exercise. And I recommend that you come back and revise it on a regular basis, especially after you go through some of these exercises and you break things down into like 90-day segments. Well, you want to reevaluate yourself on a 90-day basis. I talked about what does your life look like in a year, but I want you to take that year and break it down to 90-day segments or 12-week segments, like we talked about last week, the 12-week year. Because when you stuff a year into 12 weeks, you're going to make at least 4 times the progress. And you're going to give yourself the ability to run on the fast track. And that's what I think everybody wants. They want fast track results, at least. Everybody wants fast track results. Are you willing to do fast track behaviors, fast track actions? And again, this is a really simple exercise. You can do it in a relatively short period of time if you just let yourself open up and run with it. And again, use your imagination. One of my favorite quotes, Einstein's actually one of my favorite sources of quotes, but imagination is more important than knowledge is one of my favorite quotes by Einstein. And it's true because, your physical reality, what's happening around you, it starts with your vision. You're creating your vision now so you can attract what you really desire into your physical reality. So really the last step in this process, if you haven't already done it, is to schedule this time to do this exercise. As I talked about before, you got to schedule the time. I know some of you right now are probably thinking, yeah, this is important to me. I got this. I'm inspired. I'm going to do this. Okay. When are you going to do it? Put it on your calendar. Whether you keep your calendar on your computer or hopefully you have a calendar, whether you're writing it on the wall on a hanging computer or hanging a calendar on your wall, or whether you do it in a, paper planner, whatever you do, schedule it. You're going to hear this from me a lot. Saturday, 5 a.m. Okay, Harvey, good for you, man. I'll be sleeping, but I'll be thinking about you after I wake up. But that's awesome. Some people are morning people. I happen to be one of them. Too many years in the music business. So again, you're going to hear this from me a lot. I've been in this industry for a long time. I've learned that there's nothing powerful than making a commitment by scheduling your most important activities into your own life. Use a schedule, use a calendar, make appointments for everything. You make appointments for other things. When you make let me just ask you guys, it's kind of a rhetorical question, but when you make a doctor's appointment, do you ever not show up unless there's some crazy emergency? If you make an appointment on somebody else's calendar, do you ever just blow it off and not show up? Probably not. So why would you do that for yourself? You make appointments for everything else. Why not for yourself? So, I personally block out 2 hours in the morning. I call it genius time. And it's literally on my calendar every day from 9 to 11. My calendar is open for people to be able to schedule, three-way calls or screen shares or coaching or whatever they need to schedule with me on my open calendar. But nobody ever gets that time. You can never schedule on that time, period. Nothing can schedule over it. That's my most important time for doing my own internal work, for planning, letting the inspiration and creativity flow. It's also the time I'm usually up hiking and, kind of getting the brain flow happening, which a lot of these things I do at the same time. That's the one thing that I feel like I've been successful at multitasking, is the ability to walk and think at the same time. And that's about it, though. It doesn't go much farther than that. Your brain really doesn't function in a way that allows you to focus on multiple activities at the same time. So look, if you're not doing this now, I just want to say, try it. Okay. It works wonders and you deserve it. We'll talk about time, life management more as we go down the road here, but this will be a really good start for you. So now that you have your time scheduled, right? Okay. So Harvey hit me up with Saturday a.m., 5 a.m. Okay. So who's willing to make a commitment to scheduling this exercise? Type it into the chat. What time did you put it already on your calendar? So if you've already put it on your calendar, I see everybody leaning towards, let me grab a pen. I better get it on my calendar. I'm a harsh teacher, man. It's like, you can come listen to me, but if you don't do the stuff and you keep coming back over and over and over and I'm teaching the same things, it's going to be like, come on, man, slap, smack. All right. Who's going to commit? I want to hear it. Anyway, so that's, going camping this weekend, and we'll have it done by Monday. All right, Reese, way to go. Get it on the calendar. 6 a.m. Saturday. Ann, good job. Who else? Here come the commitments. Come on, guys. All right. I am going to, we only have about 10 minutes left. So I would love to have any, if you have questions or anything at this point that you would like to add to the conversation, you can unmute yourself or wave at me or jump up and down and I'll unmute you. If you know how to unmute yourself, it's in the lower left-hand corner, just the little red slash mark to the microphone. You click on that, it'll unmute you and you can chat away. I think Reese unmuted. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes. Where did you get all these ideas from? Is there somewhere you're getting this information from?
What I've talked about today?
Yeah, like all the specific things you thought about. And
I just I've created it myself over time. This particular one, I mean, I draw on a lot of different resources over time. And somebody asked me, hold on, somebody asked me if I have this in I think somewhere, I thought I saw somebody asked me if I have it in a format. And I don't really, but I can. I mean, I've got it written down. I'm not really working from a script, but originally I taught a course called Coaching Success Institute. It was a 12-week program for coaches. And this was one of the very first things that I did with them, is to bring them through a similar exercise, because honestly, I just don't believe you can get anywhere without having a specific plan and vision for where that place is. There's no point in just wildly executing on something if you don't know what direction you're headed. So this is kind of a foundational map. So Reese, if you want to stay in touch with me, I will get this in a format that makes sense, because I can't just give you what I have. It wouldn't make sense to you. So let me see if I can put in some form of a checklist or something that I could put together with maybe the recording of this call somewhere.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I'll work on that. I'll put it on my list of things to do. Connie says, are you posting this call? Our internet access was out, so I need to see what this exercise is about. Yes, I will post it in the Facebook group, and I'll post the replay also in the Skype groups. I had the same problem too. I'm wonderful AT&T. I've been transferring my service into AT&T, and they managed to turn off my local service, and AT&T hasn't turned on my other service. So I'm actually running off the hotspot on my phone. I'm really surprised that we have this great of a connection and it stayed for this long. So apparently the universe said this was important for you guys to hear today.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes. Who's?
It's Harvey.
Harvey, hey.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you for contributing so much. I was the one that asked if it was in a format you could send out. I think it'd be great to give to new people, as we start them off, to get them rolling in that. That's why I was asking for it. So. Okay,
cool. Well,
we have put me on that short list of whatever you're going to send it out. That'd be great.
For sure. Well, I'll make it public when I can put it in a format that makes sense. I've actually got this weekend, I don't have a whole lot going on. I'm going in the Bat Cave to work on some marketing tools and things, and maybe this will be one of the things I add to the tools package. So, and we do in a sense have something like this. Somebody's asking me too, do I have an ideal day schedule that I follow? And I do actually. And it starts with what I said, genius time in the morning. Well, very first thing is Miracle Morning, which we've talked about numerous times on this call. I do the Miracle Morning process. So when I get up, first thing is, generally, people do this in different order, but I take a shower first because I need to wake up, because I'm just not a morning person. And I'm already getting up earlier than I want to. And then I do the whole Miracle Morning process. So the silence, which is for me a meditation. Then the visualization, which is the dream board. And then I do the scribing next, which is the journaling aspect, where I journal down new ideas or just what I'm feeling about things that I'm doing now. Then typically I'll get up on the hill. I'll do my hike if the weather permits, and sometimes even if it doesn't. Up there is also where I do my what they call, he calls it reading. I listen to audibles while I'm hiking. So it's a sort of multitask. I can get it done at the same time. And you're muted, Ann, so I can see you nodding, but let me go ahead and unmute you. I got you.
There.
Okay. So see your lips moving. So if you're interacting, I want to be able to hear you. So and then after 11, then I start to get into my scheduled appointments. I check in with my appointment setters, see what's going on. I do any follow-up that I need to do. It's basically just appointments from anytime 11:30 or sometimes noon. Sometimes I take a little extra stretch on the hill. It just depends on my schedule. But most of my activity my business activity happens between noon and about 4 o'clock, because that suits the time zones relative to where I am in California.
And you have that scheduled in your calendar too?
Well, I have, So I always schedule appointments where I have a specific follow-up to do. That's always on my calendar, because if I don't do that, somebody else can schedule over that time with my calendar.
Your ideal day. So you have.
Oh yeah. The stuff I just talked about, that's all on my calendar.
All on the calendar. Okay.
Yeah. I don't honestly, I don't have the Miracle Morning stuff on my calendar because I don't need to anymore. It's just something I automatically do. But because my calendar, it interacts with people wanting to schedule my time, whether it's people in the community that want to do 3-way calls or screen shares, or my own appointment setters or my own follow-up. I can't have things overlapping that. So I always keep that 9 to 11 block. Is just, nobody can ever schedule that unless you do it with me personally and I say yes, which I usually don't. So, but I might have a conversation with you while I'm up on the hill. I enjoy doing that. Live from the Tree of Wisdom, I call it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen some of the stuff I've done from the hill, but there's these 150-year-old or so, I'm just guessing, 150-year-old oak trees up on the top of the hill, and it's a nice little shady spot. And I've even given them a name now. They're Socrates and Aristotle, are these two oak trees. And so I'm going to start doing lives from, literally do like Facebook lives and YouTube lives and videos from up there, live from the Tree of Wisdom. It's a good little branding thing.
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, you got to do you. So the only thing I suggest is that you do it, whatever it is. So your day, trying to replicate what I do isn't the thing to do. What you need to do is do what works for you, and then take what you think is the limit to that and push it about 20 to 50%, because you can do more. You can get more done in your day than you realize. If you really want a great exercise, journal the amount of time, like really be conscious of how you go through your day and journal everything that you do, from checking Facebook to whatever else you do, everything, productive and non-productive, and keep track of all of it. You'll be shocked at how much time you have available to do anything that you want. It's just a matter of choosing how you want to use that time. It's always your choice, which means it's also always your responsibility. So we're big on responsibility around here. All right. Anybody?
I'm going to confirm that, because I have to say that I used to want to pull my hair out and be so busy when I was first starting this out.
Me too.
Yeah, and it worked. But I all of a sudden I just started thinking, you know what? I need to go to the gym. I need to do this, the savers. I need to do all the stuff that you're talking about. And when I did get all of that stuff in, it was amazing how I still accomplished the things that I accomplished before. I was like, it took me too long to do the same thing. So it was really not really productive. And I learned that when I was doing these other things like exercising, meditating, doing all of this, my time that I actually worked was way more productive.
Exactly. And you probably ended up working more. You have more energy, you have more focus. Yeah.
And a lot less time.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you're talking about, and I agree with you 100%.
Thank you. I appreciate you putting that out there. I mean, this isn't magic, you guys. It's not brain surgery. Anybody can execute at a really, really high level. You just have to choose what you're willing to do. And, the things I talk about on the 90-day strategy calls, I know a lot of this stuff, especially if you're new, some of it can get a little bit overwhelming. But, I've got a real simple solution for that. And even if you feel like you're about to add a bunch of things into your life that you didn't think would fit, it's something I call focus on the dot. DOTT, it's an acronym for do one thing today. Focus on the dot. Just do one thing today. You don't have to do it all right now. Mm-hmm. But again, you'll be amazed at how much more productive you are, how much more time you have in your day by doing the things. Well, first, you got to take care of yourself first. Because at the end of the day, if you're not feeling good, or if your health is waning because you're pushing too hard, or you're stressing out, or whatever it might be, you're no good to anybody that way. It's like Sheila was just saying, you start doing these things and you find you have more time. You're actually using more time to do other things, but you're using it to take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your body, feed yourself good things, shift the way your brain functions, and you become infinitely more productive. And when
you clear your mind, you end up doing things a lot better, a lot faster.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, exercise is great for that. I always look, I'll tell you what, you guys, the last 2 deals that I've closed were at the Tree of Wisdom. I literally had the follow-up call yesterday and the previous Thursday. This happened 2 Fridays in a row, so that I actually got the wire transfers. So I had the follow-up, and I guess you'd call it a closing call. It was really just a Q&A call, but I did it from the Tree of Wisdom, which on my circle in my hike happens about 45 minutes into the process. So my blood's flowing, my brain's going. I've just got done putting a bunch of great stuff into my head through Audible. And then I'm standing under this tree, relaxed, maybe sitting. There's a picnic table under the tree. Sometimes I just sit on the picnic table, and I'm just totally relaxed and focused and in the zone, and just feel like I'm in that alpha state, that alpha brainwave state. And it makes all the difference in the world. Once you try it, honestly, you're already addicted to whatever you're doing now. You've created a habit out of whatever you're doing now. This is a real easy addiction to take on, and it's a good one. It feels really good, and it produces really good things in your life. So there you go. All right, we're right up at the top of the hour, you guys. I've got my next accountability call for the book that I'm working on with my book partner in 15 minutes. So I got to go. But if anybody has any last minute comments or questions or anything, I'd be happy to deal with that. And otherwise, I'm going to wish you an awesome Finish Strong Friday and a fantastic Easter weekend. And we'll catch you guys next week. All right. Brilliant. Sheila, thanks for being here. Appreciate your contribution. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. All right. Bye for now.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.